"I want to be a sailor," Ben Franklin told his father. Ben was 8 years old, and he was sure he knew what he wanted to be when he grew up. What could be more fun than to go to sea on one of the big sailing ships that were always docked at Boston's waterfront? The ships brought molasses from the West Indies, spices, cotton, and big barrels of wine. Sometimes they brought slaves from Africa. They sailed away with salted codfish and animal hides and lumber. "Where have you come from?" Ben asked the sailor who swaggered around Boston streets. They told about fighting off pirates out on the ocean, who tried to hold up their ships and steal their cargo. In those days, the east coast of America was settled with colonies owned by England and ruled by the king. If you wanted to go somewhere, it was easiest to go by water. Most of the roads were only muddy trails. Almost everyone lived near the coast. Farther inland, the deep forests held wild animals and the lands of Native Americans, whom the settler called Indians. Ben always loved to hear his father tell the story of when he had sailed across the ocean. Like many people in the colonies, Josiah was born and raised in the Old World. The men of Josiah's family were blacksmiths in England. After he married and had a few children, he decided to see what life was like in America. "Storms threw our little ship around like it was a toy," Josiah would tell his son. "Big green waves loomed higher than the ship's masts. Sometimes we wondered if we would ever reach America." In England, Josiah had learned the trade of dyeing clothes. But when he arrived in Boston, he found that few people wanted colorful clothes. Most of the residents, like Josiah himself, were Puritans. They believed in plain gray clothing and a simple life. But everybody needed candles for light, so Josiah went into the business of making these. After a few years, Josiah's wife died. Many people died young in those days. The doctors of the day didn't know how to cure dreaded diseases like smallpox. Several of Josiah's children also died. Josiah married another woman. Her name was Abiah. They had more children, until there were a total of 17 altogether. When Benjamin Franklin was born, on January 17, 1706, in Boston, his family was living on a milk street near the Old South Church. Because he was born on Sunday, he was taken across the street and baptized that same day. Ben was the youngest boy in the family. 2 sisters followed him. Everyone in Ben's family spent time reading. Books were among the most treasured possessions in the Franklin household. Ben learned to read when he was very young. He couldn't ever remember not being able to read. He read many of his father's books, even though they were mostly on religious subjects and not very entertaining. Ben liked the books of poetry better. He tried writing some poems of his own when he was about 7. Sometimes Ben went to his father's shop to watch him making candles and soap. His father didn't have much time to spend talking to Ben. He had many orders to fill. If people didn't get their candles, their houses would be dark. Ben didn't think his father's trade was very exciting. It will be a lot more fun to be a sailor and fight pirates than to work in a stuffy candle shop, he thought. Ben's father didn't think that a sailor's life was a good one. He wanted something different for his youngest son. One evening they talked about it. "You're a smart boy, Ben," his father said. "You have the makings of a scholar. I think it would be good if you were to become a minister of the church. We are told to give 1/10 of our goods to the church, and you are my 10th son. So next week you will start your education at the Boston Grammar School." Children in early America didn't always go to school. Parents would teach them to read and write at home. They would usually go to work by the time they were 8 or 9. Life was hard, and even children had to pitch in and help. It was a special privilege to receive a formal education at school. At 8 years of age, Ben wasn't sure how he'd like being a minister all his life. He still thought that the life of a sailor sounded a lot more exciting. It would be an adventure to learn all the things they would teach him there. He was proud that his father thought he was smart enough to become a scholar.